If we haven't met yet, I am your host, Elle Edwards, founder of Youier and the Blue House. We're actually coming to the end of this series where we are exploring some of the mindset, the mind gymnastics, helping you get ready to write, tying you with NaNoWriMo, which is next month's National Novel Writing Month, of course. But we only have 3 more episodes, including this one, and then it is the end of the month. And then in November, we're going to explore something different. Quite transparently, I don't know what we're going to explore yet. I need to sit down and ask Holy Spirit about that. But we do still have 3 more days left. But I just want to remind you that if you've missed any of these episodes, or maybe someone shared this with you, they are available as playlists on YouTube and Facebook. They're also available on the podcast as well. And Blue House members, the teaching portion, if you like, of these videos, they're going to be available in the Blue House library. So nice, easy resource for you. Just a reminder. Anyway, with all of that said, that's the housekeeping over and done with. Let's get cracking with today's episode. And today's episode is called Move More. Now, don't worry, this is not going to be me spending 10 minutes trying to encourage you to get fit, pull on. I'm reminded, actually, I have this image in my mind right now. I'm going to show my age to some of you. And this imagery might be lost on some of my friends who are not in the UK. But do any of you remember, UK friends, do any of you remember Mr. Motivator? When I think it was when I was a teenager, or maybe slightly younger than that. He was this guy, and he'd go on breakfast TV, and there'd be a slot every morning, and he'd do some exercises, encourage people to move more. That's not what this exercise is about, what this episode is about, I should say. But I do have that image because he used to wear typical sort of like 90s gear. So with the sweatband and all the rest of it. So that's the image that's currently dancing around my mind. And so if you see me laughing to myself, that's probably the reason why. But this episode is not about encouraging you to pull on your sweatpants or get your trainers on. This is, although, if you want to, that's brilliant. This is really about paying attention to your energy levels. And if you notice in the day there are times where you're feeling a little bit slumpy or a bit sort of, there's something you can do about it. And that something is to move more. But this is not about feeling the burn and all of that stuff. This is simply maybe about getting outside for some fresh air. Now, I recognise that there are different people from all over the world with different energy levels, different fitness levels. So as always, within the true remit of Youier, you being the person you were created to be, you need to apply this to your own circumstances, to your own life. I'm not going to be giving you a prescribed list of how long you should walk for, where you should walk, and should you have an incline, and if you go on the treadmill. No, none of that stuff. This is simply an encouragement and a reminder that actually our bodies were designed to move. God created you spirit, soul, and body. And your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, and actually it is incumbent upon us to look after it. Now, I say that slightly ironically because I recognise that, I'm probably slightly heavier than I ought to be, and I haven't always necessarily made the best choices. So please understand, I'm not saying this from a position of, waggling my finger at you. Some of you know we've shared inside the Blue House that one of the pieces God often challenges me around is around processed sugar. It's an ongoing conversation. But this is really a reminder that actually, as it pertains to writing, those times maybe when you've done all the other things we've talked about, you've explored your open loops, you know what you're going to be doing, you've click-worded your way to a delightful day, but for whatever reason, you're simply not feeling it. Now, I would first of all encourage you, go back and check those routines, because actually there's a famous quote by somebody whose name I can't remember who says, I only write when I'm inspired, but I'm always inspired at 9 a.m. on a weekday morning. The idea being he shows up and he writes and he's inspired because he shows up. There is something, remember, consistency trumps talent. All of this plays in together. There is something about showing up and doing it. And at the same time, those times when it's just feeling a lot, I want to encourage you to change your perspective. And I mean literally. I'm not talking about perspective as in head games in this instance. This is probably one of the most practical episodes that we're ever going to get. I mean physically change your perspective. Whether that's getting up and going outside for a quick walk just to raise your energy levels, or whether that's picking up whatever you use to write and moving it to a completely different room. Move more, as the title of this episode is given, has many different implications and many different applications. So yes, it's about recognizing that sometimes you might have done all of the mental gymnastics, you might have tried all of the tricks in the book, and you're simply not feeling it. Personally, I am not one for like powering through. I don't believe that you are made to power through. You're not an engine, you're a human being. And so actually, you need to be paying attention to your energy levels. How are you feeling? What's actually going on here? There will be times, of course, I'm about to contradict myself, but hey, I get to do that. There will be times when you're feeling like, oh, I just don't feel like doing this. And that's your mind giving you a hard time. But actually, do you know what? We're going to do this anyway. And then you get started and it's brilliant. My treadmill example of this is a lot. The number of times at 6 o'clock and I'm like, oh, do I really want to get up and do this? It's dark, it's raining, ugh. And I get up and I do it and I'm like, oh, actually, I feel really energized. There's something about just simply doing it on those occasions when, you know, maybe the stories in your head are getting in your own way. So I recognize that contradicts what I just said. But we're multifaceted human beings. You're not just one thing. But I do, as it relates to this episode, this is really about paying attention to your energy levels and recognizing when you simply need to get up and move about a bit more. They do say, and I haven't read the evidence on this or done any research into this whatsoever, but I have come across the people that tell us that actually sitting is the new health crisis. It's the thing that's going to like make us all die young. I'm not sure I necessarily believe that, but we are as a society compared to like 50 years ago, perhaps, when everybody was. I don't think everybody was planting their own food. I'll have to ask my mum. But that's the picture we're given, isn't it? We're always told that previous generations, they moved a lot more. What I do know is that we, as a typically speaking, and again, this is talking in broad terms, we do spend a lot more time in front of our computers or our screens. There is this temptation to spend a lot more time sitting. And your body wasn't designed to sit for hours and hours. And so, you know, we can use technology to help us out here. You can put an alarm on your phone to remind you to get up and move every little once in a while. You might have a watch, if you've got a Fitbit or an Apple Watch or whatever, that will, if you haven't moved very much in the previous hour or so, it will buzz you and say, come on, get up and move. You haven't got to get up and do 10 star jumps, although if you want to, great, it'll get your blood pumping. But this is simply about bringing more activity into your day-to-day life, recognizing that it's good for you and recognizing that you do it within the context of you. You know, so if you've got health challenges that means you can't do star jumps, then don't do star jumps. I don't want anybody, and I guess I should have started this episode with a caveat. I'm not a health professional. Don't take any of this as medical advice. Seek the advice of your doctor before starting a new exercise routine. But you know what I'm saying? This is simply about recognizing that actually sometimes in our days, we will have an energy slump, and you can choose to go and have a nap, or you could choose to go for a quick walk. You could choose to have a cup of tea. There's different things that you can do. But one of those things I want to encourage you to do and to consider is moving more. Even if that's simply about picking up your laptop and moving it to a different location, because there is something about changing where you are can shift something in your mind. So give it a go. Your plaything for this really is to apply this when you need to. So start paying attention or continue paying attention to your energy levels. And if you feel yourself a bit sort of, I mean, quite honestly, for me, and I need to start paying attention more, because I quite often will find myself yawning at about 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And so what I want to do, and this is complete like behind the scenes real-time stuff. So what I want to start doing, my usual routine is I'll take the dog out for a walk quite early in the day, and I love doing that. But what I'm wondering about is shifting things, and instead, depending upon the weather, because I don't want to go walking in the rain terribly unless it's going to rain all day, because she still needs to go out. But I'm wondering about those times when at 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, if it fits in with other stuff that's going on, go for a walk with her then instead. You can play around with this and experiment with it and see what works best for you. All I do know is that those times when I spend hours and hours and hours sat on my bottom for very good intentions, I might be getting loads of stuff done, but I can feel it in my back, I can sort of feel it in my shoulders. It's not the best thing for us. And writers, the nature of writing is that you will spend a lot of time sat. Usually you can get a standing desk, why not? I'm pointing, for those of you on the video version of this versus the podcast, I'm pointing to the other side of my room because I do have a mobile standing desk, which some of you have seen me use on the video sometimes as well. So there are ways that you can bring this more activity into your day-to-day life, but recognizing that writers do spend a lot of time writing. it comes with the the territory. We need you to be in the best possible condition that you can be, so that you can keep on writing, and so it doesn't become something that gives you backache and shoulder ache and all of those things. So that's your reminder for today, and your plaything is to notice and then apply it. With that reminder as well, we are coming to the end of these ready to write episodes. All of these we're going to be going into the Blue House, the teaching part of them, for members of the Rainbow Room inside the Blue House. But if you're somebody who is in the middle of writing and maybe you're like, oh, okay, what am I going to do next? I do want to mention to you again the Rainbow Room, because it's not simply about writing your book, it's about helping you publish as well. So some of you know that back in 2015 I set up my own publishing company and published some fiction. I was scratching an itch, what can I say? And some of you also know that I used to have a virtual assistant business. One of the benefits of that, and I know some of you have heard this story, but it is what it is. One of the benefits, I thought it was just a misstep, but God was like, no, we can use this to help other people. So what that means is inside the Rainbow Room, you have practical how-to stuff, what does it look like how to set up the publishing company, why you might want to do that, walking you through designing your cover, walking you through file preparation, all of that good stuff. Because yes, the first challenge is getting your book done. And I maintain if you get it done, get that first draft done, the rest of it does take time, and there is a process to follow, and we've got you covered with that inside the Rainbow Room. But it is easier to do that once you've got your book done. So this stuff that we've been doing over the last few days is vitally important. And at the same time, we do not want your book just sitting gathering metaphorical dust on your hard drive. You're writing for a reason. We want to get it out there. So if you're not already a member of the Blue House and this feels like something that you could use help with, if you're ready to get your book published, I would encourage you to come and join the Blue House and get access to the Rainbow Room. It's all included. Youier.com/Rainbow Room is where you can find out more and do that. I think that's the end of it. Oh, I was going to mention to you. Yeah, thank you, Holy Spirit. As well as there's training material in there. We do on a Wednesday have a Zoom. It's open hours. There's no curriculum to this. And yesterday we had this really fun conversation. One of the ladies who's publishing poetry, she does Instagram Reels. And I said, and she's got a YouTube channel that she's got a little bit of things on. I said, well, are you using your Reels for YouTube Shorts? She said, oh no, I haven't really got to that yet. And I kid you not, within the space of that time, she had published her first short on YouTube, and she now knows how to do it. It's very practical. It's very hands-on. I recognise it's not for everybody. Some people do not want to be seen, but I know that you do want to be seen. That's why you're here. That's why you're getting ready to write. There's a message that you want to share with the world, and I've got you covered inside the Blue House. Anyway, that's all I have for you for today. We do have one more episode for this week tomorrow, same time, same place, where we will be exploring what you eat. Ooh, that's very practical too. But don't forget your plaything, pay attention to your energy levels and move more. Thank you for being here as always. If you know somebody who would benefit from these episodes, please do share it with them. It doesn't matter if they haven't watched the previous ones, they're all available in the playlists in the various places.